Let's talk about the 2 games this week. You have Idaho State tomorrow, and then the big one for you guys on Saturday in BYU. What's the mindset?
Well, the mindset as of right now is, we're trying to figure out how to beat the Bengals, and Bill's done a nice job. Bill Evans, they got a winning record, and some guys that were there a year ago that are back. Their zone presents some issues for us for the most part. They're a zone team, and we haven't been great against the zone. So we've got a lot of work to do here in a short turnaround. We gave the guys off Sunday, needed to get them going, and then obviously with one day to prepare, it's important we have a big practice, and all our attention needs to be on the orange and black and get through Tuesday night, and then we'll start talking about what's going to take place the following Saturday.
Idaho State was a team that presented some problems for you last year. They had some pretty good guard scoring that's back from last season, and they also had a couple of intriguing bigs. How do you deal with that, and what have you seen on film that causes them to present some problems for you?
Well, you look at Hansen and Sanchez, point guard and two guard. Hansen's a guy that we actually got involved with a little bit recruiting, and heck of a shooter, heck of a player, tough kid. So 40% of their offense, a little over 40% of their offense comes from those two. So we're going to have to be dialed in. I think up with the 8 games up to this point, and there's been a little bit of a different theme with each game, and what you have to do to be successful. And that's kind of what the preseason is all about, is you're presented with a different, maybe it's a big or a guard or a defense or whatever it is, and you hope through the preseason that you get you get to experience all those things so that you can make some improvements. And I think there's some consistency maybe between this team and a Boise or a Fresno, where the backcourt, there's some firepower in the backcourt, and we had some breakdowns both at Boise and home against Fresno with good old-fashioned guarding the guy in front of you. And, they get to the free throw line a lot. They look to attack. They try to get you to take a lot of threes, which might be presented in their zone, and you can't settle for some of that. I think we need to continue to attack. But it's like a lot of games, Tony, where you try to figure out where the head of the snake is and, the keys to the game. And we've identified those, and hopefully we can put it to good use on Tuesday night.
Have you talked to Jordan about the last 2 first halves that he's played?
Last 3
first halves that he's played. Is that a topic of discussion? I mean, he's been great in those second halves of those games, but those first halves, he's been kind of passive and not really looking for a shot and not really looking to get stuff done.
I think what's important is that we remember that he's just starting his sophomore year. It's not going to be an easy road, and there's learning opportunities, I think, that come along the way. And I don't know what is taking place. I think if he could identify, the root of why he's starting slow, he'd like to extinguish it too. So there's certain things that I want to get involved with that I think I can help. There's other certain things I think that a young man needs to kind of figure out on their own. And it's not just Jordan coming out from the opening tip. I mean, it's everybody with the sense of urgency, and we always have a habit of talking about the last plays in some games. Everybody wants to break down the last minute at Boise State and dissect that, and that's what's always so interesting about basketball, is you don't really have time to stop and think about all the early plays. But from a coaching perspective, we didn't come out great in that game. Gave up 6 points in transition layups. And made some mistakes that way. So we have to come out of the locker room with a sense of urgency, not just Jordan, but everybody else, as though it's game point and you got a minute to go. And until we can do that, we're still going to have a long way to go. But I trust he'll get it sorted out, and it's one of those points on the learning curve that he's going to have to work through. I might visit with him and get his feedback on it. But beyond that, it's just, it's about trying to beat our next opponent and make sure we're ready to go in the opening tip on Tuesday night.